They said it was just a casual dinner. No reason to dress up. No reason to expect anything special. So I wore jeans and a blazer. Simple. Professional enough for meeting my sister's future in-laws. But the moment I walked into that dining room at the Copper Oak, I knew I'd been set up. Crystal chandeliers. A private room. Waiters in bow ties. 14 people dressed like they were attending a gala. And there I was, the underdressed outsider. Again. I'm Hannah, and last Saturday night, one word changed everything I thought I knew about my place in this family. Have you ever been humiliated by someone you loved, only to watch karma arrive in real time? Tell me in the comments. They said it was casual. Now nobody's talking. I've always been the practical daughter. The one who worked while my sister Vanessa floated through life on charm and daddy's credit card. She's the golden child, event planner, Instagram perfect, the kind of woman who makes everything look effortless because someone else is doing the work. I was the glitch in the family portrait. The one who chose state school over private. The one who worked 3 jobs to pay off loans while she jetted to Santorini. Tuesday afternoon, Mom called during my commute. Her voice had that sugary coating she uses when she needs something. Sweetheart, Vanessa's having dinner with Derek's family this weekend. Just a little get-together. You should come.
No invitation.
Just expectation. Sounds nice, I said, eyes on the traffic. What's the dress code? Oh, you know. Casual. Don't overthink it. That phrase stuck to me like tar. Don't overthink it. Translation: don't ask questions. Friday evening, my best friend Zoe called, breathless with gossip. Hannah, tell me you're not actually going tomorrow. Going where? To Vanessa's engagement dinner. The fancy one at the Copper Oak. My stomach dropped. Engagement dinner? Mom said it was casual. She texted me a screenshot. The group chat I wasn't included in. Gold embossed digital invitation. An evening to celebrate Vanessa and Derek. Dress code, cocktail attire. 16 confirmed guests. I called Mom immediately. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice tight. Why didn't you tell me it was Vanessa's engagement dinner? We didn't want you to feel pressured, honey. You're always so busy with work. Pressured to celebrate my own sister? You know how Vanessa is. She wanted it to be intimate. Derek's parents are very particular. The words she didn't say screamed louder. You're not polished enough. You're not impressive enough. You're an embarrassment. I'd helped pay their mortgage when Dad's business nearly collapsed. Loaned Vanessa $5,000 for her startup that never started. Spent every holiday pretending their condescension was love. But I was still the complication. The rough edge they wanted to sand down. I hung up and sat in my car, hands shaking on the steering wheel. Anger first. Then hurt. Then something colder. Clarity. If they wanted to erase me, I'd show up anyway. Not to beg for a seat at their table. To remind them exactly who I am. Saturday came too fast. I stood in front of my closet, staring at the clothes that suddenly felt like costumes. The jeans and blazer I'd planned felt deliberate now, a choice, not ignorance. I kept them on. Zoe tried to talk me out of it. Hannah, don't go. You don't need their validation. I'm not going for validation, I said, checking my reflection. I'm going because I was invited. Sort of. The drive to the Copper Oak took 30 minutes. 30 minutes of rehearsing calm. 30 minutes of reminding myself I'd earned every degree, every promotion, every ounce of respect I commanded in rooms that actually mattered. This dinner was nothing. Just family. Just the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally, but somehow never got around to it. I parked next to a Mercedes and a Tesla. Deep breath. Game face. The hostess led me to the private dining room. The doors opened, and time slowed down. Everyone turned. Silk dresses. Tailored suits. Pearls catching candlelight. And me, in dark jeans and a black blazer, looking like I'd wandered in from a coffee shop. Vanessa's smile could have cut glass. Hannah. You made it. Her voice dripped with performance. She wore emerald green, fitted, expensive. Her engagement ring caught every light in the room like it was auditioning. Traffic was light, I said evenly. Mom rushed over, her eyes scanning my outfit with barely concealed horror. Sweetheart, I thought you might. We said. You said casual, I finished. Derek appeared, tall, confident, hand extended. You must be the sister. I've heard so much about you. His parents flanked him, Gregory and Diane Sutherland, old money wrapped in new manners. They looked at me like I was a math problem they couldn't solve. All good things, I hope, I said, shaking his hand firmly. Vanessa looped her arm through Derek's. Hannah's always been unique. She's very focused on her career. The word career sounded like an apology. We sat for dinner. I was placed at the far end of the table, next to Derek's younger brother, Trevor, who spent the first course talking about his cryptocurrency portfolio. Across from me, Vanessa held court, telling stories about destination weddings and custom invitations. Every story included a subtle dig. Hannah wouldn't understand, she's more practical. Hannah's never been to Europe. Hannah's always working. I smiled. Sipped my water. Let her perform. Then came the appetizers, and with them, the question I'd been dreading. Diane Sutherland, Derek's mother, turned her attention to me like a spotlight. So Hannah, what do you do? The table quieted. Forks paused mid-air. I work in administration, I said simply. Vanessa's laugh came too quickly, too loud. She's just admin. She waved her hand dismissively, that massive diamond catching light like a warning flare. You know, scheduling, organizing files, answering phones. Very supportive work. The emphasis on supportive felt like a slap. Trevor smirked. Gregory Sutherland nodded politely, already losing interest. Mom looked down at her plate. Dad cleared his throat but said nothing. And Derek tilted his head, studying me with new attention. So, what do you actually do? The room held its breath. I set down my fork. Met his eyes. Neurosurgery. Silence fell like a guillotine. Derek blinked. I'm sorry, what? Neurosurgery, I repeated calmly. I'm a neurosurgeon at Westfield Medical Center. Chief resident, actually. I specialize in pediatric brain tumors. The color drained from Vanessa's face. Diane Sutherland's fork clattered against her plate. You're a doctor? Yes, ma'am. 7 years of medical school, 5 years of residency. I completed my fellowship at Johns Hopkins last year. Gregory leaned forward, suddenly animated. Westfield Medical? That's one of the top neurology programs in the country. It is, I confirmed. We're ranked 3rd nationally for pediatric neurosurgery outcomes. Derek stared at his fiancé. You told me your sister worked in an office. Vanessa's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. She does. Technically hospitals have offices. I perform surgery, I said quietly. Usually 3 to 4 times a week. 12 to 16-hour procedures. Last month, I removed a tumor from a 6-year-old's brainstem. She's learning to ride a bike now. The table was frozen. Mom's eyes were wide, glassy with something between pride and panic. Dad stared at his wine glass like it held answers. Trevor, the crypto bro, whispered, "Holy shit." Diane turned to Vanessa, her voice sharp as crystal. You said she was in administration. She never talks about work, Vanessa stammered. She's always so private. Because every time I try to share anything, I said, my voice still calm, still measured, I'm told I'm making things about myself. That I'm too intense. Too serious. That I should be more like Vanessa, lighter, easier, less complicated. The words landed like stones in still water, ripples spreading across every face. Derek's jaw tightened. You let me believe. I didn't let you believe anything, Vanessa snapped, defensive now. She never corrects me. She just sits there. Because correcting you would mean fighting for space at a table where I'm barely welcome, I said. I stopped fighting years ago. Gregory Sutherland set down his whiskey with deliberate care. Young lady, what you do, that level of education, that responsibility, that's extraordinary. Thank you, I said. He turned to my father. You must be incredibly proud. Dad's silence was deafening. Mom finally found her voice. Of course we are. We've always been proud of both our daughters. Then why, Diane asked, ice in her tone, would you allow one daughter to diminish the other? In front of guests. Mom had no answer. Vanessa's eyes were bright with tears now, not sadness but rage. This is my engagement dinner. My night. Yes, I said gently. It is. I didn't bring this up. You did. You made my career a punchline. Because you make everything awkward, she hissed. You could have just played along. Played along with being humiliated? Derek pushed back from the table slightly, creating distance. Physical and otherwise. Vanessa. What? She rounded on him. We need to talk. Later. The rest of the dinner passed in fractured conversation. Small talk that felt like wreckage. Diane asked me about my work with genuine interest, the kind of attention I'd craved from my own family for years. Gregory shared that his brother was a cardiologist. We talked about medicine, research, the ethics of experimental treatments. Vanessa sat silent, her celebration collapsing around her like a house of cards in slow motion. When dessert arrived, I excused myself. Early surgery tomorrow. 6 a.m. Diane stood, shook my hand warmly. It was an honor meeting you, Dr. Hannah. Doctor. The title I'd earned but never heard from my own mother's lips. I walked out into the cool evening air, and for the first time in years, I felt light. My phone buzzed before I reached my car. Zoe, how bad was it? Me, one word. That's all it took. I didn't go home right away. I drove to the park near my apartment, the one with the jogging trail that curves around the lake. It was nearly empty, just a few couples walking dogs, a man playing guitar near the pavilion. I sat on a bench and watched the water reflect the city lights, trying to process what had just happened. My phone vibrated constantly. I ignored it. Finally, curiosity won. 17 missed calls. 23 texts. Mom, Hannah, why did you embarrass your sister like that? Dad, we need to talk about tonight. This isn't like you. Vanessa, you ruined everything. Everything. Are you happy now? And then buried in the chaos, Derek, I'm sorry. I should have asked more questions. About everything. I stared at that last message for a long time. Zoe called. I answered. I've been refreshing my phone for an hour, she said. What happened? I told her. Every word, every pause, every face at that table when I said, neurosurgery. Hannah, she breathed. You're my hero. I didn't do it to be a hero. I couldn't sit there anymore. Couldn't let her rewrite who I am. You know this changes things, right? With your family. Maybe it's time things changed. We talked until my phone battery hit 15%. When I finally drove home, it was past midnight. I had surgery in 5.5 hours. A 7-year-old boy with a cerebellar astrocytoma. His name was Lucas. He liked dinosaurs and wanted to be a paleontologist. I needed to sleep. Needed to be sharp. But first, I opened the group chat I'd been excluded from. The one Zoe had shown me. I could see it now, every message, every excited emoji, every detail of Vanessa's perfect evening that I was never meant to attend. I typed one message, for anyone wondering, dinner was enlightening. Thanks for the warm welcome. Then I muted the chat and went to bed. Lucas's surgery went perfectly. 6 hours, no complications. When I came out to talk to his parents, his mother hugged me so hard I almost cried. You saved our baby. He's strong, I said. He did the hard part. That afternoon, sitting in my office, still in scrubs, I finally listened to the voicemails. Moms, Hannah Marie, you deliberately sabotaged your sister's engagement dinner. You could have told us you were a doctor. I deleted it halfway through. Dads, your mother's very upset. Vanessa's very upset. We thought you'd grown out of this need for attention. Delete. Vanessa's, sobbing, incoherent, something about Derek questioning everything, something about me being selfish, something about the wedding. Delete. And then, Gregory Sutherland. Dr. Hannah, this is Gregory. Derek's father. I wanted to apologize for my son's fiancé's behavior at dinner. What you do, the lives you save, that matters. I hope you'll accept my apology on behalf of the family. Also, if you're ever interested in speaking with our board about pediatric neurology initiatives, I'm on the board at Maplewood Children's Hospital. We'd be honored to have your expertise. I saved that one. Zoe met me for dinner at our usual spot, a hole-in-the-wall Thai place near the hospital. She slid a glass of wine across the table. You look exhausted. 12-hour day. But Lucas is going to be fine. The kid from this morning? I nodded. See, that's the thing, Zoe said. While Vanessa was planning flower arrangements, you were literally saving a child's life. And somehow, you're the problem. In their world, I am. Then maybe, she said carefully, it's time to stop living in their world. My phone buzzed. Derek. Can we talk? Coffee tomorrow. I showed Zoe. She raised an eyebrow. Interesting. He wants to apologize. Or explain. Or defend her. Only one way to find out. I texted back, Brewster's Cafe. 2 p.m. Derek was already there when I arrived, sitting in the corner booth, 2 coffees on the table. He stood when he saw me, uncertain. Thanks for coming, he said. I slid into the booth. You sounded serious. I am. He pushed 1 coffee toward me. Black, 1 sugar. He'd remembered from dinner, even in that chaos. I owe you an apology. Several, actually. Go on. He ran a hand through his hair. I've been with Vanessa for 2 years. In that entire time, she's mentioned you maybe 5 times? Always in passing. My sister couldn't make it. My sister's busy with work. I asked once what you did, and she said you worked in administration at a hospital. I assumed. He trailed off. That I was a secretary. That you had a normal office job, yeah? I never. He shook his head. She made you sound boring, Hannah. Unimportant. Like you were just there. I know. How long? How long what? How long has she been doing this? Erasing you. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Since I got accepted to medical school. Maybe before. The better I did, the smaller she made me seem. That's. He looked angry. Not at me. That's pathological. That's my sister. My parents want me to call off the wedding. I set down my coffee. What? My mom spent 2 hours yesterday lecturing me about character and integrity. My dad said any woman who would humiliate her own sister, a neurosurgeon, in front of strangers doesn't have the values they raised me to respect. He met my eyes. They're not wrong. Derek, I didn't come here to destroy your relationship. You didn't destroy anything. You just existed honestly for 5 minutes, and it all fell apart. He leaned back. That's the problem, isn't it? She's built this entire identity on being the impressive one, the successful one, the one everyone admires. And you just are impressive. Without trying. Without needing applause. I stopped needing applause from them a long time ago. Maybe that's why she hates it. He was quiet for a moment. She called you 20 times yesterday. Did you answer? No. She's telling everyone you ambushed her. That you showed up deliberately underdressed to make her look bad. That you dropped the doctor thing for attention. And you believe her? No, he said firmly. I believe what I saw. Someone who's been minimized her entire life, finally saying enough. I didn't expect that. Didn't expect him to see it so clearly. What are you going to do? I asked. I don't know. I love her. Or I love who I thought she was. But now I keep seeing things I missed. Little cruelties. Casual dismissals. The way she talks about her friends behind their backs. The way she treats waiters. He rubbed his face. God, I sound naive. You sound like someone waking up. Is that what happened to you? You just woke up one day and decided to stop playing small. Not one day. 1,000 small days. 1,000 little cuts that eventually bled enough to matter. Derek nodded slowly. For what it's worth, my parents would love to have you at the wedding. If there is a wedding, they think you're remarkable. That's kind. It's true. He hesitated. Can I ask you something? Why medicine? Why neurosurgery specifically? Finally, someone asked because they cared, not because they were looking for ammunition. When I was 16, my best friend's little brother had a seizure at school. Brain tumor. The surgeon who operated, Dr. Reeves, she spent 2 hours with the family afterward, explaining everything, holding space for their fear. She saved his life, but more than that, she treated them like humans in the worst moment of their lives. I wanted to be her. And are you? Like her? I try to be. Lucas's parents would say you are. I looked up sharply. How do you know about Lucas? I called the hospital. Asked to speak to someone about Dr. Hannah in neurosurgery. Your colleague, Dr. Warren, spent 15 minutes telling me about your success rates, your research on minimally invasive techniques, your reputation with families. He smiled. He called you a rock star. Exact word. My throat tightened. You're not just good at what you do, Hannah. You're exceptional. And your family should be shouting that from rooftops. He stood. I need to figure things out with Vanessa. But I wanted you to know, you didn't ruin anything. You just turned on a light. He left cash for the coffees and walked out. I sat there for another hour, watching people come and go, thinking about lights and shadows and the difference between love and habit. 3 days later, Vanessa showed up at my apartment. I almost didn't open the door. I was reviewing surgical notes, wearing old sweatpants and a medical conference t-shirt, hair in a messy bun. Not exactly prepared for confrontation. She knocked again. Hannah, I know you're home. Your car's here. I opened the door. She looked terrible. Red eyes, no makeup, hair that hadn't seen a brush in days. The polar opposite of the polished princess from the engagement dinner. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked to my living room, taking in the space. Medical journals stacked on the coffee table. Framed photo of me at my white coat ceremony. A pediatric neurology textbook open on the couch. Evidence of a life she'd never bothered to see. Nice place, she said quietly. What do you want, Vanessa? She turned to face me. Derek called off the wedding. I didn't react. He said he can't marry someone who would treat their own sister like that. His parents won't even talk to me. Her voice cracked. I've lost everything because of you. No, I said firmly. You lost everything because of you. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant every word. Every dismissal. Every time you made me small to make yourself feel big. I crossed my arms. You knew I was a doctor, Vanessa. You knew. And you let everyone at that dinner think I answered phones for a living. You never corrected me. Because you never asked. In 2 years of dating Derek, you never once said, hey, tell me about your work. You never visited the hospital. Never asked about my patients. You acted like my entire career was an inconvenient detail in your story. She was crying now, but I couldn't stop. I've removed tumors from children's brains while you've been planning centerpieces. I've held parents while they processed the worst news of their lives. I've spent 16-hour days trying to save lives, and you couldn't spend 16 seconds acknowledging that I exist. You always made me feel stupid, she whispered. How? By being smarter, better, more impressive. You were the one who got straight A's. The one who got into medical school. The one everyone respected. So you made me disappear. I made you manageable. You took up so much space just by existing. Mom and Dad were always so worried about you. Is Hannah eating enough? Is Hannah sleeping? Is Hannah okay? Everything was always about you. Because I was working myself to death, I said. Because medical school is brutal and residency is worse, and I was barely surviving. They were worried because I was drowning, Vanessa. Not because I wanted attention. She sank onto my couch. I thought if I could just be the easy daughter, the fun one, the one who didn't cause stress, they'd love me more. And instead, you made them accomplices in erasing me. I didn't mean to. But you did. Over and over. And when I finally stood up for myself, when I finally said, "This is who I am," you called it sabotage. She looked up at me, mascara streaking. "I don't know how to fix this. I don't know if you can." We sat in silence. The kind that feels like a canyon. Finally, she spoke. "Derek said you were brave. That I should learn from you. What do you think?" I think I've been scared my whole life. Scared of not being special. Scared of being forgotten. Scared that if you shined, nobody would see me. And now I've lost the man I love because I couldn't let my sister exist. She wiped her eyes. "That's pretty pathetic, huh?" "It's honest," I said. "That's a start." She stood. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed you to know that I see it now. What I did. Who I became. Vanessa." She paused at the door. "You were never competing with me. We were never in the same race. You made event planning your career. You're good at it. People love working with you. You didn't need to tear me down to build yourself up. I know that now." "Do you?" She thought about it. Really thought. "I'm going to try to." After she left, I called Zoe. She apologized? Sort of. She explained. "There's a difference. Are you going to forgive her?" "Eventually. Maybe. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it definitely doesn't mean going back to how things were." "Good," Zoe said. "You deserve better than how things were." That night, I got an email from Gregory Sutherland. The hospital board wanted me to speak at their annual pediatric neurology symposium. Paid keynote. International audience. I said yes. Mom called the next morning. "Hannah, we need to talk about Vanessa."
No, y interrupta.
"We need to talk about you and Dad and the last 10 years of my life." Silence. "I'm done being the daughter you tolerate while celebrating the one you prefer. I'm done making myself small. I'm done pretending it doesn't hurt. We never preferred." "Yes, you did. You let her diminish me. You said nothing when she introduced me as just admin. You've never once asked about my surgeries, my research, my patients. But you can name every venue Vanessa's ever considered for a wedding." Mom was quiet for a long time. "You're right. I wasn't expecting that." "You're right," she repeated. I didn't know how to handle you. You were always so independent. So capable. I thought you didn't need us. I needed you to be proud of me. Out loud. Where I could hear it. "I am proud of you," she whispered. "I'm so proud I don't have words for it. I didn't know how to say it without making Vanessa feel less than. So you made me feel less than instead." "Yes." She was crying now. "Yes, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It wasn't enough. Not yet. But it was something. I need time," I told her. "I need to figure out what our relationship looks like when I'm not shrinking myself to fit into it." "I understand." "And Mom? I need you to tell people what I do. When someone asks about your daughters, I need you to say Vanessa plans beautiful events and Hannah is a neurosurgeon. Both of us. Equal pride. Can you do that?" "Yes," she said. "I can do that." 6 months later, I stood in a surgical theater in Geneva, presenting research on pediatric tumor reduction techniques to 300 of the world's leading neurosurgeons. The symposium Gregory Sutherland had invited me to became a turning point, not just professionally, but personally. After my presentation, a woman approached me. "Dr. Reeves. The surgeon who'd inspired me at 16. You were brilliant up there," she said. "You're the reason I'm here." We talked for 2 hours. She invited me to collaborate on a research project. Published paper. International recognition. My phone buzzed during the reception. "Vanessa, Mom sent me a video of your presentation. You were incredible. I'm sorry it took me this long to say it." I stared at the message for a long time before typing, "Thank you." Derek had reached out twice in those months. Once to tell me he and Vanessa were in couples therapy. Once to say he'd recommended me to a friend whose daughter needed a consultation. I'd operated on that little girl 3 weeks ago. Another success. Things with my parents shifted slowly. Dad started calling once a week, asking about work. Actually listening. Mom sent me an article about a breakthrough in neurosurgery with a note, made me think of you. So proud. Small steps. But steps. Zoe picked me up from the airport when I got back from Geneva. How does it feel to be internationally famous? Exhausting, I laughed. And amazing. Your mom posted about your presentation on social media. Have you seen it? I hadn't. I pulled out my phone. There it was, a photo of me on stage mid-presentation, completely in my element. Mom's caption, my daughter Dr. Hannah, presenting groundbreaking research in pediatric neurosurgery in Geneva. We are beyond proud. 300 comments. Friends from high school. Distant relatives. Colleagues. All celebrating. And Vanessa's comment, pinned at the top, my brilliant sister. Sorry I'm late to the celebration. Won't happen again. Well, Zoe said, watching me read. Better late than never. Better late than never, I agreed. The following Tuesday, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. Gregory Sutherland. Dear Dr. Hannah. Watching you present in Geneva reminded me why I fell in love with medicine 50 years ago. You have a gift, not just for surgery, but for seeing the humanity in every patient. Derek told me what happened at that dinner, and while I'm grateful it led to your connection with our board, I'm sorry it took humiliation for your family to see what was always there. For what it's worth, Derek and Vanessa are still in therapy. I don't know if they'll make it. But I do know he's a better man for having met you. You set a standard. Keep saving lives, doctor. Keep refusing to be small. With admiration, Gregory. I pinned it to my office bulletin board, next to Lucas's thank you drawing of a T-Rex wearing a stethoscope. That weekend, I agreed to have dinner with my family. All of us. Real conversation. Real honesty. Vanessa arrived first, nervous, carrying flowers. Peace offering, she said. Peonies, I noted. My favorite. I know. I remembered. Mom set the table with actual effort. My favorite meal, pot roast with roasted carrots and garlic mashed potatoes. Dad asked about Geneva, and for the first time, he asked follow-up questions. Real ones. Vanessa talked about her business, how therapy had helped her see the ways she'd been sabotaging herself, not just me. I built my whole identity on being better than you, and I wasn't even in competition with you. How messed up is that? Pretty messed up, I said. But fixable. Are we fixable? She asked. You and me. I thought about it. About the years of hurt, the dinner that changed everything, the slow, painful growth that followed. We're sisters, I finally said. We're not fixed. But we're trying. That counts for something. Mom raised her glass. To trying. And to being proud of both my daughters, exactly as they are. We clinked glasses. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. But it was real. After dinner, Vanessa pulled me aside. Derek wants to see you. Would that be weird? Probably. But would you? I considered. Maybe. Someday. If he stops apologizing for you and starts holding you accountable. He does, she said. That's why we're still together. He doesn't let me hide anymore. Good. As I drove home that night, past the lake, past the park where I'd sat after that disastrous dinner, I realized something. I didn't need them to validate me anymore. Their approval, or lack of it, didn't define my worth. I'd saved 32 lives in the past year. Published research. Mentored residents. Built a career that mattered. But having them finally see me? Finally celebrate me? That felt good too. The best revenge isn't anger. It's becoming so completely yourself that other people's opinions become background noise. It's building a life so full of meaning that the tables you're excluded from don't matter anymore. I built my own table. It fits fewer people now, but everyone here claps when I speak. And when I close my eyes, I still hear the ocean from Hawaii, that trip I never took, but dreamed about during the hardest moments. Freedom sounds like waves. Like truth. Like finally being enough. Sometimes the family that tried to erase you learns to trace your outline instead. Sometimes the sister who diminished you learns to celebrate beside you. Sometimes one word, one honest word, cracks open a door you didn't know was locked. Neurosurgery. The word that changed everything. Before you go, if this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories about finding your voice, standing in your truth, and refusing to be small in a world that asks you to shrink. You are not too much. You never were.